Warning. This episode of Dueling Ogres contains yucky poo-poo, not-so-good McDirty words. If you are sensitive to excessive profanity, please listen to a different episode. Prepare yourselves for a battle of epic proportions between two titans. Feast upon their voices and revel in their words. This is Dueling Ogres. Hello, Ogres, and welcome to episode 20. Thank you for joining us, as always, on this
expletive deleted
Wednesday evening, Earth date October 1st, 2014. I'm your host, Remington Hitchcock, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Brandon Full. Say hello, Brandon.
Hello, Remington.
Aha!
Hello, Internet. Hello, people.
Episode 20.
I know, it's insane.
I know, we're like...
We now have the same amount of episodes as we have listeners.
Yeah!
It is cool to see that we're growing. I mean, albeit slowly, but also honestly quicker than I would think, because we kind of tapped out our friend base very quickly. You know, It's either people through Facebook, they're either going to like the page and listen, or they're not.
Right.
It's very rare that you're going to convert, but we've actually started getting people that neither of us know.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Yes, I agree.
So, episode 20, I mean... I guess I can't say we're going strong, but we're definitely going either way.
We're chugging.
We're
just chugging right along, doing our thing. Yeah. So this week, we're going to cover...
I'm excited about this one. I think if you've listened to the podcast in the past, you will probably know why I'm excited about this one. Today we're covering the origins of curse words.
Yes.
Going into this ahead of time, I'll say what we're covering... I chose to not cover any, kind of racial slurs or anything like that.
Right.
Not because I don't think I should, because I think it depowers a word when you see where it's gone through history, you know?
Yeah.
But this also comes from a white male who the worst thing that somebody's going to call me about my race is like cracker or something.
Right.
And, you know, I think it's just kind of that white mentality. Traditionally, white people haven't been that oppressed.
Right.
So if I've never been called a cracker in my entire life, but if I have, okay, you know, I've been called a lot worse than that. So I chose not to cover those. I went through and looked up the etymology of the cuss words. I kind of based it off of George Carlin's 7 words you can't say, 7 dirty words or whatever.
7 dirty words you can't say on television.
I didn't base it entirely off of that. There are a few of his words that are just so tame now compared to 1972 when that first aired.
Right.
So I basically covered the big hitters.
Right. So the goals for this episode are to not cuss unless we are actually saying the word that we are defining.
Yeah. Or the history of it, or something like that.
Right.
Which I think traditionally is going to be a little bit tougher for me.
Right.
I curse a lot. In my day-to-day life, I definitely curse a lot. So, it is going to be a little rough. In my opinion on cuss words, I'll just get it out of the way now so I'm not rambling later on. I feel like cuss words, if you're not using them, especially in front of children, there's a time and place for cuss words.
Right.
I think people who are really offended by curse words... It's kind of silly. I mean, you know, I'm not going to begrudge you for how you feel about certain words.
Right.
That's not my place at all. But at the same time, when it really comes down to it, it's just words. And that's part of why I thought this would be an interesting topic, is to really look at the history of where they came from and to see in their earliest form, they were just words.
Right. Yeah, in some of the research that I did, I mean, there were words that were very commonplace, and they didn't really get any negative connotation until later in their life.
Oh, it was amazing to me to see some cuss words, like certain variations of cuss words, that date back to, like, 1965.
Right.
So just to see these, like, newborn cuss words. But I'll get into those as we approach them. What spawned this... originally was Remington contacted a guy who runs a podcast network, correct?
Right.
And I'm not saying his name because it doesn't matter here or there. But he contacted him and he sent him a link to our podcast and said, will you give one of our episodes a listen and just let me know what you think, particularly of the sound quality, but also the content itself.
Right.
And the guy was very helpful. It was amazing that he even replied back because he runs a thousands of follower network, right?
Right.
He's pretty big online. And what he listened to was our interview episode of James Patrick. And in the first 2 or 3 minutes of that, I say something that I felt was no worse than anything else I've ever said on here.
Right.
He commented in reply to you, Remington, and said, had I not been helping you out at that 2-minute mark, I would have turned it off.
Right.
And it really got me thinking about the power of words. And I don't intend to change our language, or my language anyway, because we do have an explicit tag. But it also, through the email, he kind of implied without saying that something along the lines of you don't have to try so hard to be funny. Mm-hmm. Something along, right? He didn't say that specifically, but it was implied in what he had written.
Right.
And he wasn't, I gotta say, he wasn't being crappy about it. I seriously, 2 minutes in, almost slipped up again. He wasn't being crappy about it, but it did make me think that there are things that I say sometimes, and I don't want to come off like I'm trying too hard, because I'm not. But at the same time, I do tend to fall back on shock factor things sometimes when I have nothing else to say.
Right.
So if anything else, clearly this gentleman maybe wasn't the audience for the kind of podcast we do. You know what I mean? As far as language goes.
It wasn't even necessarily that. He was just saying if you're a new podcast, you want to pull in listeners, you don't want to immediately shoo them away by saying something that is particularly shocking. So it was more of from a business model, a business standpoint,
Yeah.
So, regardless of whether or not we have an explicit tag, if we are just starting out, we want to at least get people used to our sensibilities without pushing them away by saying something
throwing them in. Yeah. Are we going to say what I said?
Huh? No. Well, it's edited out. It's in the ether.
Yeah, that is the power of the internet, is we went back surgically, Remington went back surgically and cut that thing out.
Yep.
So, but I'll tell you, and I mean, if you message me, I'm sure I'll tell you what I actually said. But it felt really innocent to me at the time, and that's what was kind of shocking. But it did make me think about the words that we say sometimes, because you and I, and my group of friends and my girlfriend, we have filthy mouths.
Right.
And you surround yourself sometimes with people who have filthy mouths, that sometimes you say something that to you is so innocuous or seems so innocuous that to somebody else is just knock them to the floor shocking.
Right.
So more than anything else, it really had me look at what I say in a more stark light.
Right.
So that's where the idea for this episode came from.
Right.
Was that. And again, I'm probably going on too much and you can probably cut this out, but he did nothing wrong, and I have no ill will. I took his advice and took it to heart, as what he said. The spirit of his message, I took to heart.
Right.
So,
I mean, it all comes down to improving how we come across to our listeners. The better we do that, the more word of mouth spreads and the more popular our show becomes.
Yeah, and like I said to you, my biggest regret when it was pointed out to me is that I'd said that on an episode where we were interviewing somebody, because the way we did the interview, not to, peel back the fourth wall curtain here or anything.
But you're going to peel back the fourth wall curtain.
I'm going to pull back the fourth wall curtain, is we interviewed him separately, and then we recorded the opener and the closer.
Right.
So, without knowing if the person we interviewed cared or not. And he's heard our podcast, so he knows that we use bad language. But to record the beginning and end and say something that even shocked you a little bit, honestly, and that's all cut out, but you were very taken aback by what I said.
Right.
And it's not what you think I said. It was, like I said, I felt pretty tame, but, I have a very different barometer for what's tame than other people. But it was the fact that I said something on a interview episode, whereas that the guy we interviewed, James Patrick, before could even send it to his family and say, listen to this episode, I'm on an interview, if he wanted to. And using really any sort of language that could be considered argumentative or whatever.
Right.
That I didn't use argumentative, right? But you know what I mean.
Shockworthy.
Yeah, just really, I think it cuts the professionalism. And I think that I honestly was a little embarrassed because I feel like going forward, that was a learning experience.
Right.
That there's you and I sitting here talking about stuff versus a different level of professionalism for interviewing somebody.
Right. There's a different dynamic, you know. There's a different way to present yourself when you're in that kind of a situation.
Yeah, I want to set a precedent that having a guest on to interview doesn't mean that the things that they don't hear from the show are going to be things that they might not agree with or want to be associated with.
Right. Which is one of the reasons we went in and kind of cut that out.
Yeah.
There's another part in the Are You Afraid of the Dark episode where I say something that's quite insulting.
It was hilarious, even when you said it. And I mean, how shitty... I made it 12 minutes in. But how crappy is it that we're talking about things that the listeners are not going to hear now if they didn't hear it originally?
Right. And
but
yeah, that's okay. But the point
they weren't
of it
particularly funny. That's the thing. If we say something vulgar that's maybe shocking, but it's funny, we're going to leave it in.
Probably.
But there's sometimes that stuff is said where you're just like, that's not funny. It's just shock for shock's sake. And, you know.
Well, I mean, and even if we think it's funny, there's a certain line like, well, what I said was particularly offensive to the homosexual community.
I can't believe you would even say that right now.
Well, it was.
Because that just leaves...
Now they have to wonder.
No, what you said versus what they could possibly think you said.
Right.
What they could possibly think you said is 1,000 times worse.
I know, it is.
1,000 times worse.
I know, it is. But, you know, I have a lot of friends and acquaintances who are homosexuals who might have found that insulting and degrading, and whether or not it was portrayed in a humorous fashion, it was still a little just over the top.
Yeah.
For my sensibilities.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, as I was saying at the beginning of this episode, I think words are just words. And it's the context of how you use them as to whether, you know, they're good or bad.
Right. And
you weren't using it in a bad way, what you said.
Right.
You were using it in kind of a funny way, a way that, you know, friends would talk to one another.
Exactly.
We forget sometimes, I think, sitting here, that we're not just kind of talking back and forth. We're putting this up online.
To entertain.
Not only to entertain, but we're putting this up online where potentially anybody could see it.
Right.
We're releasing this balloon into the world and you don't know where it's going to land.
Right.
And we forget that sometimes. We get a little, I guess, loose with our candor. But what's funny is what you said, and not to dwell on this, what you said is something that you don't say.
Right.
In real life.
Right.
Just like in the Are You Afraid of the Dark episode that we'll be putting up probably alongside this episode or close to it. I think you left it in. I say that, I think is if you haven't heard of Snick, you're retarded.
Right.
And even in the episode, I catch myself because that's something I never say.
Yeah.
So it's amazing, and that was earlier on too, where you're sitting in front of this microphone, and our entire purpose of doing this podcast is to sit in front of microphones and talk to one another.
Right.
Natural conversation isn't just yap, 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 back and forth.
Right.
But it doesn't make for a good podcast if the silences are in there. We edit out, or you edit out, a lot of the long silences.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's easy to slip up and say things you wouldn't sometimes because your brain, at least for me, will just run off because it's thinking, you know, oh, there's dead time. I gotta keep going.
Yeah.
So, really, that's where we're coming from with it.
Right. So, before we get into the meat and potatoes of the show, I thought I'd talk about the Suddenlink Viacom thing real quick. So, you don't have cable.
Correct.
You have internet, but you don't have cable. So, Viacom owns Nick at Night, VH1, MTV, Spike TV, Comedy Central, and Suddenlink and Viacom were in negotiations to renew the contract. And that's how these cable companies do things, is they get a contract from these providers to allow certain channels to be aired, and they set a price and Suddenlink pays them the price, and et cetera and so on.
And every time they do these negotiations, it's kind of a urinating contest, correct?
Right.
As to, I want this much money, well, we're giving you this much money. They talk badly. I've seen this before. They'll talk badly about each other. You see those ads where suddenly you don't have a channel anymore.
Yeah.
And it'll run, Suddenlink would love to carry this channel for you, but Viacom is asking too much money, or stuff like that. I've seen that before when I have had cable.
Right. Or vice versa, where Viacom is like, you know, Suddenlink doesn't want you to have this channel, blah, 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 et cetera, and so on. So I believe the last negotiations for Viacom stuff were in 2010, and they were asking for something like a 20% increase from the previous contract. This time they were looking at close to 50%
increase.
Increase.
Wow.
Yes. something that would have translated to Suddenlink viewers' bills skyrocketing.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I know, negotiations went to the very last minute, which is very commonplace with these kind of negotiations. But there were so many turn downs to the offers between the two that it came to a point where Suddenlink said, okay, we're going to sign a bunch of these other people because it's clear that Viacom isn't going to budge from their take on it. Whereas Viacom came back and said, they turned down our final offer, so you guys lose your channels.
Are the negotiations over then? Have they?
Yes.
So they parted ways?
Yes. So
wow.
Yeah, they took Viacom stuff off the air midnight this morning, and I think they have the other channels up by now.
Well, what's interesting is a lot of those big channels are looking to kind of do the HBO Go route of you can watch our shows online. And HBO Go right now, as I think most people know who have it or don't have it, you have to already have HBO to buy HBO Go.
Right.
Which is hilarious. HBO Go, or HBO has been in talks for a while that they're going to offer it as a subscription service without having HBO, but they've been saying that for a couple years now.
Yeah.
But that's where a lot of these channels are going. Nickelodeon is in talks to start doing that with some of their shows.
Right.
So they've really got them either way because Suddenlink stops carrying their channels on cable. They just put that stuff up online to stream, and you can just watch it still through Suddenlink.
Yeah.
Or whatever your internet service provider is.
Yeah.
And I know that's where a lot of the talks of net neutrality.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Okay.
And that's where that comes in because Suddenlink and the cable companies want to be able to say, oh, okay, Viacom, you don't want to be on our channel. We're slowing down the internet to your streaming services.
Right.
So it's all kind of a crazy mess right now.
Yeah.
Because the TV companies are slowly realizing, and it's amazing how slowly they've realized that people don't need cable anymore.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones is the most pirated show ever.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. I mean, if you want to find something online, you can find it online.
And it's not necessarily the cable providers that are bottlenecking the bandwidth. It's the much larger companies that, there was the fear of that going to happen.
I think it's a totally warranted fear, though.
Yeah.
That would absolutely happen. It would go to whoever pays the most money gets the fastest streaming service.
Right. So that's why there was that big push to keep net neutrality active.
Yeah.
So there was no bottlenecking of services just because somebody paid a premium.
And, we'll see. I haven't followed it closely in the last few weeks to see if it's just dead in the water or if it's still being pushed through in a different way. But
yeah, unfortunately,
it seems like the way our country works right now, whoever has the most money is going to eventually win that fight.
Right.
Because it blows my mind that it was even up for debate, serious debate, when nobody but the high executives at those cable companies wanted that bill passed.
Right.
The entirety of the American people, nobody would want it. Because you can see exactly where it would lead to.
Yeah.
So it kind of is sad that speaks to how our country works sometimes.
Yeah.
That a bill comes up solely because the people with the most money want a bill that will help them to make more money.
When they don't really need it.
No. I mean, I'm sure they're losing money from streaming services like Netflix and stuff. I'm sure they are, but they're not losing enough money to close down.
They need to change how they do business.
Yeah, it's a slow system. It's an antiquated system that
that needs refurbished.
I think they just put their blinders on for a long time.
Yeah.
And thought, this is a passing fad, and are now shockingly realizing, wait, this isn't a passing fad. This is how it works.
Yeah.
We missed getting our foot in the door.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all I really, it was an interesting, because like I said, a lot of times those deals will close out and, everything will be hunky-dory. Mm-hmm. But every once in a while you'll see this, where one large company tries to, because Viacom is much bigger than Suddenlink. Suddenlink only provides for like 1.2 million customers, on the East Coast and Texas.
Okay.
So, I mean, they're the 7th largest company in the United States, cable provider-wise, but that's still, I mean, there aren't that many below it.
Yeah.
And a lot of the ones that are above it are actually like a conglomeration of smaller ones. They're like a network of smaller ones.
Mm-hmm.
So, that happened earlier. Viacom actually got dropped on an earlier one that was one of these networks that I think some of them were allowed to keep it and some of them weren't, or something to that effect. And another thing with these companies is they can set up deals to where you don't have to you don't have to take all of their channels. Time Warner does that. They'll split up the packages. They'll have different packages of channels that cable companies can purchase.
Mm-hmm.
So if a particular section says, our viewer base probably wouldn't want these channels, then they can say, okay, we're going to take this package because it's cheaper and, you'll get more out of it in the long run. Viacom wouldn't do that as far as I could tell from the research on the internet. So
that makes me feel like Viacom has another plan in the works.
Yeah.
If they would say, because typically I would assume, and
their viewership was down 30%.
Well, and I'm coming from a point of having absolutely no knowledge on this stuff. So
Right.
take all of this with a grain of salt, But these negotiations will always work, like you said, where they go to the last minute and eventually they find something.
Right.
It's just a bunch of chest beating until they can do the handshake and we're always friends.
Yeah.
The fact that Viacom would set a percentage and not budge on it and let it expire just screams to me that they have something else in the works. And I could almost guarantee that it's to start an online presence.
Yeah.
A stronger online presence.
Right. So, and that's a very real possibility. I mean, you can watch Comedy Central, especially like Jon Stewart and stuff. You can see entire shows.
Yeah.
They're usually a couple days past from when they actually aired, but you can watch the entire shows.
Well, and Hulu Plus has a lot of Viacom shows too.
Right.
A lot of Comedy Central stuff.
Yeah. So there's that. I just think that it's a very interesting thing that happened that was closer to home.
Yeah, that is kind of... Suddenlink is it's the sole provider of internet.
Cable and internet
here, isn't
in
it?
this area. There's
dial-up.
Well,
still,
there's Cass, and then there's Frontier, and I don't know a whole lot about those companies because I've always had Suddenlink because I've never not been happy with their services.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, let's go ahead and get back on topic.
All right, so you want to get into this?
Yep, let's go.
All right, what this is, a lot of what I looked at was the etymology of these words.
Okay.
Etymology being the origin of a word. It's the study of the origin of words.
Right. What's the difference between etymologist and an entomologist? An etymologist knows the difference. Cha-cha-cha-cha-cha.
That's good.
Thank you.
I like that. So here's just a couple. These aren't cuss words, but these are words pertaining to cuss words. I just thought I'd get off real quick.
Okay.
Maledictology is a branch of psychology that does research on curse words.
Okay.
I mean, that's a very basic explanation of it. I kind of put the studying of this off to the last minute.
Okay.
So I crammed last night and today for this. So ahead of time, too, I'm going to say probably about 80% of what I'm saying is 100% I know fact.
Okay.
About 20% I would say potentially could be suspect. So if I'm saying anything that's interesting to you, I'd encourage you, the listener, to explore it more. A lot of what I got was from the online etymology dictionary,
Okay.
which is etymonline.com.
Okay.
And they have everything categorized. I mean, the history. Pretty much any word I looked up, I found a lot of history on it.
Huh.
So, maledictology, which, from what I very basic understand of Latin, I think translates to mal would be bad, dictology would be the study of speaking.
Okay.
So, bad speaking, basically. They study...
So wait, you didn't look up the etymology on...
Maledictology?
Yeah.
Ironic, right? They study the effect of curse words on, our psyche, our brain. They found that it's been proven that cussing, when you hurt yourself, helps. It helps to release endorphins.
Right.
An analysis by some maledictologists
Okay.
of recorded conversations reveal that roughly 80 to 90 spoken words each day are swear words.
Huh.
So it fluctuates between 0% to people who don't cuss to the upper end of about 3.4% of the entire words you speak a day are cuss words.
Right.
So the average is about 2%. To put that in context, the average of pronouns you use a day, like I, me, stuff like that, is about 1%. So the average person uses more curse words a day than they do pronouns.
Huh.
Which I found pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Neurologists, and a lot of the stuff I'm reading here is from Wikipedia also. So, Wikipedia, it's mostly right, sometimes not. Anybody can. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, they have fact checkers.
A neurologist named Antonio Domcio noted that despite the loss of language due to damage to the language areas of the brain, patients were still often able to swear.
Okay.
Which is interesting. I don't know really why, because I read that quote and I just didn't have time to get into more of the why of it. I don't know if maybe cursing is a more base. It's just it's an evolution of just a guttural grunt.
Right. That's what I was going to say. Something to that effect.
Also, I want to make a distinction here that we're focusing on profanity, which is different from blasphemy.
Right.
I learned that. I mean, obviously, the words themselves mean different things. Profanity comes from Latin, and get ready for me to butcher a bunch of Latin words through this episode.
Yeah!
Profanity comes from Latin profanare. Profanar. I don't know why.
Gosh.
Which means to desecrate, render unholy, or violate. And profanus, which means unholy, not consecrated, which that stems from profano, which means in front of the temple. So pro means in front of, fano means temple.
Okay.
And the idea was that something is profane is not something you bring into the temple.
Okay.
So the idea is profanity would be words that you wouldn't use inside of the temple.
Right.
The definition of profanity is offensive words or religious words used in a way that shows you do not respect God or holy things. So the distinction was a lot finer than I thought it was.
That seems like it's a little bit of an archaic definition, though.
This was the definition straight from the root of profanity.
Okay.
So the distinction, if you're, having a discussion with an etymologist and want to sound knowledgeable, profanity is something that you wouldn't say in church or something that is secular in nature. Blasphemous is something that is specifically attacking religion.
Right.
Like, I didn't really do the root word on this, but goddamn. That would be blasphemous.
Right.
God bless it would be profane.
Right.
And also, actually, saying God bless it is called a minced oath, which is whenever you replace a curse word with a non-curse word with the same intention, like saying darn instead of damn.
Right.
It's called a minced oath. One more thing, obscenity. The word obscenity comes from the Latin word obscena, which means off stage.
Okay.
Because in old Greek and Latin plays, anything like sex or murder would happen off stage implied in a play because they couldn't show it.
Okay.
So obscenity literally translates to off stage, something that wouldn't be public.
Right. Okay.
So, I don't know. If you're not interested in like the actual root history of words, you might be a little bored by this episode. I mean, that's the last thing we want to do is alienate our listeners, but I focused a lot on the origin of these words because I thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
Which word do I want to start
right
with?
up my alley, so.
Yeah. At least I've got one listener. I'll go ahead and start with an easy one. Hell.
Okay. This is going to be a Brandon-centric episode.
Hell is an Old English word meaning netherworld, abode of the dead, infernal regions, from Proto-Germanic Haljo, which means the underworld. As far as they can trace back, Hel was Loki's sister, who ruled over the underworld.
Okay.
So they think that it just comes from there. And then, I mean, I'm not going to go into it forever because we're already running long and we're just starting. But the variations of, go to hell, all that kind of stuff is just throughout history has evolved. So there's more interesting stuff there you can look up, but I want to get into the meat and potatoes of the really dirty words and discuss those more in length.
Okay.
Hell, I did find this that I thought was interesting. Hell or high water, the term, for over hell or high water.
Come hell or high water.
Is a variation of the phrase between the devil and the deep blue sea. You ever heard that? It's kind of the same as saying I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. I'm stuck between the devil and the deep blue sea. Come hell or high water means the same thing.
Huh.
So yeah, I'm just going to go in order of severity here. The next word I'm going to discuss, piss.
Piss. Okay.
How do you use the word piss? Do you use that word often?
Actually, yeah.
In what way?
I tend to use piss a lot of times as an expletive if I drop something.
Like, piss.
Well, I usually just say piss. Though, with my client, I tend to say piss a lot as well.
In the sense of you're pissing me off?
No, in the sense of, do you need to urinate?
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know why, but that seems exceptionally vulgar to me. To just use it in day-to-day conversation, like, hey, you gotta piss?
He finds it amusing.
No, that's fair enough.
So, there you go.
Yeah.
He finds it amusing.
I don't find myself using piss very
Really?
often.
And because he says it frequently anyway, because that's usually how he refers to urinating, it tends to invade into my everyday vernacular.
I don't find myself using piss very often. I don't.
You just find yourself taking them. Ha-cha-cha-cha.
It's not like I find it vulgar in the way that it grosses me out. It seems like such a baby word. Not like something a baby would use, but it's just, throughout the years, it seems like it's lost any and all sharpness.
Yeah.
You can see, my parents, who I've heard cuss very frequently in my life, I've heard say, you're pissing me off, or this is pissing me off.
Right.
I think that's a good gauge of how acceptable a word is when you hear people who don't typically cuss use it conversationally.
Right.
I think that's when words start to become more acceptable to use.
Yeah.
Piss comes from Old French pissier, which means to urinate. There's really no more history than that. It's just
and
straight up.
It seems like from what I saw, a lot of the medieval terms like piss and other bodily functions were not necessarily viewed as curse words at the time. They, like I said before, they didn't have that negative connotation because they were used in everyday life to explain what you needed to go do.
Exactly. There's a book I'm going to be referencing a few times and reading from. I found this a lot looking up vulgarities, and I think this is my new favorite book. It's called The Classical Dictionary of the Vulgar Tongue.
Okay.
The first one came out in 1760-something, I think.
Uh-huh.
The guy who wrote its name was Francis Grosse. Grose. And if you look him up on Wikipedia, I'm not going to go into him at all, but he's hilarious. He studied the origin of words, lexicography. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. Whatever.
Okay.
But he was just this super fat, loud, disgusting guy, and often made jokes about how it was appropriate that his last name was Gross because of how gross he was.
Yeah.
But he wrote a lot of books on the history of words. One of his more popular ones was the Classical Dictionary of the Vulgar Tongue.
Uh-huh.
If you have a Kindle or any sort of Android device where you can download books, you can get this book for free on there, and it's hilarious. I'm not going to go through really any of those words because there's just hundreds of them, just stupid. He picked up slang from all around the world. Any word he would hear, he'd throw it in there, and there's just some stupid, ridiculous ones.
Okay.
But the earliest history of pissing away money, he's just pissing it away, comes from a quote in the Classical Dictionary of the Vulgar Tongue. He shall not piss my money against the wall. He shall not have my money to spend in liquor.
Makes sense.
So pissing away originally meant spending that money on liquor and then just pissing it away.
Right.
Something else I thought was interesting is that pee, as in, I've got to go pee, is an abbreviation of piss. Not the other way around, which is, whatever. That's from 1788. I'm kind of struggling with these because I've taken so many notes. So I'm trying to go through and just...
It's My Little Pony all over again.
I know. Well, I'm trying to say the interesting stuff, but I went really overboard, I'm realizing now, in this format for what we have. For our next word, Remington, I want to start with a joke.
Okay.
And this joke is the origin also of this saying.
Okay.
A man goes into a crowded bar, and he has to defecate. He looks around everywhere, and he can't find the bathroom. He runs upstairs, looking for the bathroom, finds a hole in the floor. Defecates, into the hole in the floor, done. Comes back downstairs, the bar is completely empty, except for the bartender, who was cowering behind the bar. The man says, "What happened? Where's everybody?" The bartender stands up shakily and says, "Where were you when the shit hit the fan?" So our next word, of course, is shit, from Old English skit, which means purging or diarrhea. It again goes back to what we were saying, that some of these words...
Especially the bodily function.
Yeah, are just... And I have specifically Old English, but almost every language, especially Latin-derived languages...
Yeah.
have the same word for shit, with a little bit of misspellings here or there, or a weird J or something in it, because a lot of the Norwegian languages.
Yeah, like German would be scheisse.
Yeah, scheisse actually is the origin of the word shyster, which I thought was cool too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So what shyster would be a person who...
A shyster now would be somebody who rips you off, somebody who's not trustworthy. When the word first started being used, it meant shitty person. Was a shyster.
Huh, okay.
The Old English word skit originates from Proto-Germanic skit, S-K-I-T, which means to cut, split, divide, or separate, which is a very evocative word for what shitting is. How often would you say you use the word shit? Do you use it with the same regularity that you use piss? Like, hey, client, you gotta shit? Scratch your belly, fart, you know? Because that's what I picture when I see somebody like, I gotta shit.
Yeah, I would say equal or more regularity. About as regular as my bowel movements are, anyway.
You are more wont to just say,
expletives.
I'm shitting. Especially bodily stuff, I've noticed.
Yeah. It's
Whenever
probably
I'll call
my
you
Old
or
English
ask
heritage.
you, and it's just...
And 50% of the time I'm on the toilet.
You are on the toilet a lot. And I know that we've discussed this before, growing up, your mom cussed quite a bit.
Yeah.
Was shit kind of an acceptable word? Like, Mom, I gotta take a shit. You're like 8 years old.
I don't really remember that sort of thing. But probably not.
Were you allowed to cuss growing up?
Not really. You know, it was one of those, you knew that it was for adults. You know, those are words that grown-ups use.
Do you remember the first instance where you cussed in front of your parents and it wasn't an issue?
No, I really don't. No.
Yeah, neither
But
do
there
I.
for a while I went through, while I was growing up, we weren't really church goers. And for a stint of time in junior high-ish, especially with you guys, because you guys went to church, you and Ryan, and, you know, I went to church with Ryan several times. And there was a Christian cafe called the Fatted Calf that we'd go and hang out at most weekends. So there for a stint, I mean, I didn't cuss because, you know, of the values that were being instilled in me through being around, you know, other Christian people who didn't cuss.
And I would say I was definitely the same way. I didn't cuss for a large portion of my life growing up religious, and I'm not religious anymore. And there were a bunch of determining factors, and I wanted to present this without really the religious stint to it.
Right.
But there were a lot of determining factors that made me not religious, made me have the beliefs today.
Yeah.
And some of it, in part, honestly, was listening to, especially like George Carlin.
Yeah.
And hearing his views on religion and also curse words and stuff, because growing up they were so, you just didn't say them.
Yeah.
And it was a big deal if you said them. I still don't cuss in front of my parents. I might say, for example, something's pissed me off.
Yeah.
I don't even think I've said shit in front of them. I think piss and hell is as far, maybe a damn every so often. But it is interesting that religion and cussing go together. You know? That just not really, you can't cuss if you're religious typically.
Well, it goes back to the profanity. Yeah. It's something that you would not bring into the temple.
Speaking of religion, bitch is Old English bick, which means female dog, which comes from Old Norse bikjuna, which means female of the dog. It dates from 14th century as slang for a woman.
Right.
There's a whole lot more there. 14th century, it started being used in a derogatory term for a woman, probably because it already meant female dog, so calling a woman a bitch is like a female dog. And then 15th century, it started to grab hold of something you call a guy. But the connotation there was the guy was a woman. That's where the kind of the origination of me calling you a bitch comes from.
Right.
Which I do a lot. Something that I thought was cool, or not cool, but just made it interesting. Well, I've said something I found interesting 30 million times this episode.
Enlightening?
Is that a lot of these words stem from the insult of calling someone a woman.
Yeah.
Throughout history, being a woman has been an insult.
Right.
A word will start as meaning this bad thing, and then inevitably somewhere along the line it'll fold in a word for woman in it.
Right.
Which, you know, goes throughout history as far as the objectification of women throughout history.
Yeah.
And
the view of them being a lesser sex, in quotes.
So I covered shit. I covered piss. I covered bitch. Now I'm gonna go to one of your favorite things, Remington.
Okay.
Cock. From mid-12th century cockin, which means to fight. Also 12th century Old England cock, C-O-C-C, meaning a male bird. It was used colloquially, besides referring to a rooster, they would call servant boys cocks.
Okay.
Because they kind of strut around young boys. So that's where it started to get the connotation of male genitalia.
Right, the cock of the walk.
Mm-hmm, exactly. This is, I think, particularly interesting for you. Cock was a common personal name until about the 1500s.
Okay.
My name's Cock. I'm just Cock Johnson, attorney at law. It was affixed to Christian names as a pet diminutive, which I had to look up, and a pet diminutive is like a nickname.
Would be like in Japanese where you call somebody Sama or... God, I can't remember the rest of them. Anyway, but yeah, there are a lot of pet diminutives in Japanese.
And that's just kind of a short.
Yeah, like
short
San.
word, right?
Like San would be pet diminutive.
So it had both negative connotations as far as like, oh, look at that cock, like strutting around.
Yeah.
Or, hey, you're my cock.
Right.
Hey, cock. How's it going? That's also, this is hilarious.
I think that's what you would call those. You can correct me if I was wrong on that.
I think if people are going to correct us on this episode, there's going to be a lot of it.
Yeah.
This was straight from Wikipedia also, which I thought was hilarious. It was giving examples of how the word cock would be added to the ends of names as kind of like a friendly thing.
Right.
And the two examples it gave were Wilcox and Hitchcock.
Ah.
Which is your last name. So presumably somewhere along the line you were related to somebody with the last name Hitch.
Uh-huh.
And then they added cock in as kind of a, hey, you cock. Because you are a cock.
Right.
You're a Hitchcock, but you're a cock nonetheless.
Thanks, Brandon.
They also think that it could be derived from cook or the Welsh word cock, which means red.
Okay.
The slang term for penis was from 1610s, which... Something about looking up the history of words was kind of tough too, and that's why I'm struggling so hard to get through these notes specifically.
Okay.
Is a lot of the things that they know is speculative.
Yeah.
So they can say, we're pretty sure it comes from here. It might come from here though.
Yeah.
So we don't know. But cock is penis, they think goes back to the 1300s from the word pillycock, which means penis. So,
oh, look at your little
pillycock there.
Saints preserve us.
The old French word felon, which means evildoer, scoundrel, traitor, rebel, or the devil, comes from medieval Latin felonem, which means evildoer.
Okay.
And that's also where the term fellatio comes from, is evildoer. So a felon, literally a felon, is a cocksucker. That's what originally that meant.
Wow.
Was a felon is a cocksucker.
Huh. Tell that to them in prison. See what happens.
They will suck your cock.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah.
It's a fact. Yeah, there's a bunch of other stuff. I'm going to skip over it. We get to my favorite word.
Okay.
Fuck. Fuckity. Fuck, 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 fuck. I use this word, and I know that I heard this from a comedian or something. I use this word like an apostrophe. I use this word a lot.
Right.
If you've listened to our podcast before, you know that I use this word a lot.
Yeah.
I love it. I do. Just in every way. Are you fucking kidding me? I mean, I'm not even going to ask you first if you use this word or how often you use it, because I want to talk about how much I use it. I mean, are you fucking kidding me? This is fucking ridiculous. Fuck! You want to fuck? I don't really say it like that. I don't really say you want to fuck, but, you know, I mean, most of the time. But I do use it a lot. Earliest appearance of the word fuck in its current spelling is from 1535.
Okay.
And I don't know what this is written in. I'm guessing Old English. It makes absolutely no sense to me, but I'm going to read it as is.
Okay.
Bischops may fuck their fill and be then merit? It's the first appearance of the word fuck as spelled F-U-C-K.
Huh.
1535. Earliest examples are Scottish from the Norwegian word fucka, F-U-K-K-A, which means copulate, or Swedish focka, F-O-C-K-A, which also means copulate. The word wasn't in a single English dictionary from 1795 to, when would you guess? Was not printed in any English dictionary from 1795 to...
Early 1900s?
1960 fucking 5. And what's great, because I don't know, this is so adorable. The first dictionary that broke it and printed the word fuck in it, the Penguin Dictionary.
The Penguin Company.
I like to think somewhere,
they're so raucous.
1966, you go to Antarctica and there's just a bunch of penguins walking around. They just learn the word fuck. tripping over things. Fuck. There's the Penguin Dictionary. You hear their little flippers hitting the pages.
Printing company has a long and storied history, sir.
I'm just amazed that they can get the printing presses to run in the oppressive cold.
I know, right? And how do they set the lettering with those little fins?
The original creator of the Penguin Dictionary, ironically, was eaten by a polar bear.
That is not a fact.
The major breakthrough in getting the word fuck printed in... I couldn't find if it was America or the UK.
Yeah.
So we'll just say America because, USA. Was James Jones's, who I've never heard of, book called From Here to Eternity, printed in 1950. The book had 50 fucks. Down.
So you could say that book really gave a fuck.
It gave 50 fucks. But here was printed with 50 fucks, down from 258 in the original manuscript.
Wow.
I don't know how many pages that book was.
So you must have written that book.
Fuckity, fuck. I mean, I'm just spitballing random facts here. Egyptian legal agreements from the 23rd dynasty frequently had at the end of them. And this is something that was on Wikipedia, so I'd fact check this. I don't know 100%. But regardless, it's funny. Egyptian legal documents, 23rd dynasty, frequently had at the end, if you do not obey this decree, may a donkey copulate with you. I think we should bring that back.
Yeah, I concur.
Listeners, when we put this episode up, after you listen to it, we'd like you to share it. Share it with your friends, share it with your family.
And if you don't,
may a donkey copulate with you. The term flying fuck. Okay. I don't give a flying fuck. Right. Do you ever use that?
Yeah, I've used it on
I don't give a flying fuck.
Yeah.
I don't. It's too flowery.
As if the word fuck was not enough.
Yeah, it's got to be
flower it up with flying.
You have to give it adverbs.
You have to attach wings to it.
I don't give a strutting fuck. Originally, I'm going to have you guess right here. What did flying fuck originally refer to?
I couldn't even speculate.
Circa 1800.
Okay.
You can't even speculate?
A circus, perhaps?
Sort of. It originally referred to having sex on horseback. From an 1800s ballad called New Feats of Horsemanship.
New Feats of Horsemanship? What?
We know you can fire an arrow from horseback. We all do that. We know you're doing a pike. We've got our new feats. And my favorite thing is that it's a ballad. Which implies that it's sung, right? Does a ballad have to be sung?
I don't know.
Because I want to imagine an 1800s
written in a certain way.
An 1800s bard with a lute, just singing about new feats of horsemanship. And again, from the Classical Dictionary of the Vulgar Tongue, 1796 edition, duck fucker, the man who has the care of the poultry on board a ship of war. Before I go on, you use the word fuck a lot. I mean, people listen to this podcast. Do you feel like you use it too much? Because I do feel sometimes that I use the word too much. It loses some of its meaning when you overuse it.
It's poignancy.
Poignancy.
I use it fairly frequently. I honestly, that's one of the ones that it doesn't really stick out whether or not I use it too much or too little, if you can use such a word too sparingly. So, I would have to say that, yeah, I think I use it just enough.
You use it just right.
Yeah, I try to use it as, as what it seems to be intended to be, an expletive. So, if, I just don't go around saying it unless I'm trying to put extra emphasis on something that I'm trying to say, something that will catch someone's attention and say, oh, he just said, fuck. What he's saying must be important because he said something so taboo to get my attention.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that subliminal sort of deal.
I feel like I use it too much because I've become a little more conscious of it, especially since the whole thing that I talked about at the beginning of this episode.
Yeah.
And I've caught myself before, making dinner with my girlfriend and literally being like, hey, honey, can you pass me the fucking milk? Which I found is shocking to people who meet me, and especially people who start dating me. Because it is, using that kind of language is shocking by its very nature.
Yeah.
So it is, and I've heard this from a lot of people now, so, history has proven that it is true. That it is a little shocking to have somebody use it so conversationally.
Yeah.
Because saying, ugh, can you change the channel? I hate this show. Versus, can you change the channel? I fucking hate this show.
Yeah.
To me is the same thing. To a lot of people, it's not the same thing.
Right, yeah. There's a lot more intent when you drop the F-bomb on it.
Exactly.
Now, I have a cousin, a female cousin no less, who also uses it like a comma. And she just constantly says it. It's she uses it more than you do, and it's almost off-putting.
Does she use it in a tacky sort of way?
No, but often when she talks, it often comes off that way because she's using so many, harsh expletives.
Like, can you give me an example?
No, I can't even remember the last time we had a conversation together. But I know that to this day she still uses it.
You just know that it ended in you crying.
Right. Going back to bitch, did I tell the grandma story before on the podcast? About grandma.
So you called your mom a bitch in jest, right? And she slapped you? Yeah, you have.
Okay. So you can call back to whatever episode. I don't even know.
I don't remember.
It still cracks me up to this day. Calling mom a bitch in jest and then grandma smacking me in the face and telling me not to do that.
You fucking idiot!
Yeah. And grandma cursed as well. She, mom got it from somewhere. And grandpa was kind of a quiet man, so... So, yeah, I mean, it's just, that to me also is a very interesting take or look on words versus age gaps and stuff. Or, things that aren't appropriate in certain instances, even within age groups.
That some words it's okay to say now versus an older generation.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I still, when I see my parents sometimes, will have them say, hey, really using that colorful language on your Facebook page, right, Bo? Because I'm friends with my mom on there.
Right.
And I'm conscious of what I'm writing because I'm friends with my mom, but at the same time, I've taken the stance, I'm 30 years old. My mom knows I cuss. She knows I do a podcast. God forbid she would ever listen to this. But it's just a point of, they'll say something, I know, Mom, and that's it.
Yeah. I'm glad I don't have to deal with that.
Yeah, I know. You can just walk up to your mom and be like, fuckity, fuck, bitch. Do a little jig with it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go into the last word here.
Okay.
This is the word that could potentially cause the largest point of contention.
Okay.
So...
In what way?
I want to precursor it by saying that if you're a woman listening to this episode, this word has some very strong negative emotions to a lot of women who have been called this word.
Right.
So I would say skip ahead about 10 minutes if you don't even like hearing this word, and you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the big C.
The listeners know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So...
Here it comes.
Ready? Cauliflower.
Oh, he fool you!
No, cunt.
Oh.
Cunty, cunt.
See, we probably could have done without that.
The cunty, cunt.
As if the fuckity fuck wasn't bad enough.
Well, that's kind of my point, is they're just words, and in the right context.
And within this context...
I'm saying the word.
Well, I mean, it's all okay, because we go into this episode saying... This is an episode about cursing. There's going to be some cursing in this.
And the thing is, if you're an American, the word cunt will get you punched.
Yeah, well.
If you're British, it's like a slang term. It's just like, hey, buddy. Like friends joking around like, you cunt, tousle your hair.
Yeah.
So it's funny that even within the English language, there's such a disparity between, the UK versus America.
Yeah. Like Fanny.
Yeah.
Fanny.
Got my fanny pack.
Fanny in
the UK,
is a vagina. Is yes. Thank you, Brandon. Is a vagina, whereas, in America, it would commonly refer to your behind, your posterior, your derriere.
Here's the thing. Do you ever use the word cunt? Honestly.
Yeah.
In what sense?
She was being a cunt.
Wow, okay. See,
here's the thing, though. Ginger likes that word a whole lot more than I do.
Well, it's more okay for a woman to use the word cunt.
Right.
And it's fair. That's one of those things that in the same way that, regardless of how you argue, it's not as okay for a white person to say the word nigger as it is for a black person to say that word.
Right.
And something I was going to say at the beginning of the episode, but I'll go ahead and say it here in talking about the word cunt. People who have a problem with this word, women especially who have a problem with this word, who have decided to listen through this, I could very easily see having an issue with me saying that I've stayed away from racial slurs and then chosen to use the word cunt.
Yeah.
Because that's almost taken the equivalent of a racial slur towards women.
Right.
But I felt like there was enough of a distinction there that it was okay to talk about while also not considering it in the same vein as, nigger or faggot or any of those words.
Yeah.
Depending on how it's used, it absolutely can be used in the same vein as a hateful word for someone.
Right.
But at the same time, the whole point of this is to just show where words come from. And, when it comes down to it, they're just words.
Yeah. Words, this is one of the things that we'll get into the etymology of it here directly. But to go off on my soapbox with words only have as much power as a person decides to give them. You can only be insulted by a word if you choose to let it insult you. And that expands slightly in a social aspect for, what brought this up and what we edited out. It wasn't so much that I was taken aback by it, but expanding it to the fact that we have listeners is where my comfort level slipped. It's like, oh, people are going to hear that and they're going to be like, geez, that was just straight raunchy.
It was pretty raunchy.
If it were a normal conversation between you and I, it wouldn't have taken me. I mean, I would have been taken aback, but I wouldn't have cared. And I didn't care about the fact that it was said, but it was expanding to the fact that, listeners might hear this and they might be uncomfortable.
Yes.
So that's where words, like I said, words only have as much power as you give them. Somebody can call me everything under the sun, and I would not care at all, because I choose what words to give power to.
Yes.
So that's my take on it.
And that, I totally agree with you. And I understand you might be listening right now as a female listener and saying, what the hell do these guys know?
Right.
I've been called a cunt. I've dated an abusive boyfriend, or I've been out in public and gotten in a fight with some shitty guy.
Yeah.
And I've been called a cunt. And to sit in your chairs as white men and say, it only has as much power as you give it, I totally understand.
Yeah.
There's no word, really, that somebody can call you or I that can affect us in the same way that somebody very angrily and bitterly calling a woman a cunt can.
Yeah.
I would agree on that, So, you're absolutely right in the sense that words only have as much power as you give them. They're just words.
Here's an example. Bitch tits. The phrase bitch tits is one that does not set well with me. I do not like being called bitch tits.
Like, hey bitch tits, what's up?
Yes. I don't know why. It's one of the ones that I have a rough time getting past. I don't get angry about it. I don't really get upset, but it just doesn't sit well with me. It evokes, I can see it on your face. You're like, why? It evokes this imagery of a fat guy with big floppy pancake boobs. And it's such an image that I don't find particularly amusing or attractive. In any sense of the four. I don't find it funny, and I don't find it attractive. Of course, it's not supposed to be attractive, but...
I don't think it's a secret to any of our listeners that you are an overweight guy.
Right.
And we're going to have a YouTube video at the end of this. You're going to see us wash our mouths out with soap. Spoilers! And you're going to see that I am not a particularly thin person either.
Right.
Do you think if you were thin, you would have the problem with bitch tits? Or do you think it's because you are a little overweight? And I mean, I can speak too, because I definitely have bitch tits too. But you have man boobs. I have man boobs. And do you think that that's part of it? And you've been...
That's the funny thing. Man boobs doesn't bother me.
It's just the term bitch tits?
Yeah.
Bitch tits is more...
derogatory.
Yeah. If a friend is like, come on, man boobs, it's kind of cute in a way.
Yeah.
But if a friend's like, come on, bitch tits, it's nothing but negative.
Yeah.
And it does go back to what you were saying. I didn't make the connection until just now that it's easy to say they're just words, but it doesn't mean that you can look at the words any differently when it's actually being said to you.
Yeah.
When we were younger in junior high and high school, I was a relatively thin guy. You've always been a little overweight.
Right.
And we started probably about 8th or 9th grade making fat jokes. And we were ruthless, shitty kids. And do you think it stems from that at all? Because, I mean, obviously you are a friend even then, and you're my best friend now, when you weren't going through high school too. I feel like I didn't make as many fat jokes as some of the other friends. I tried consciously to, but you get that like teenage group mentality. It's fun. You've always kind of let stuff roll off your back, or at least give the impression that things are rolling off your back. Right. And I mean, looking back now, I know that some of the stuff we said had to have hurt you more than you let on. There's no way it couldn't, especially when you're a developing kid. Or whatever, you're going through, not developing physically, because you have a beard since you were 4, but developing emotionally and socially and stuff.
Right. Well, I don't know if maybe I've mentioned this story before in the podcast as well, but early on in junior high, I did a report on Socrates. And in the school library, there was a book about Socrates, and that's where I got all my information from. And there was one story in particular that always stuck out to me. It was about another philosopher and playwright who made a play about Socrates making fun of him.
Okay.
And the moral of the story is if you can't make fun of yourself, then what's the point in making fun of anything?
Yes.
So that's always how I viewed it. Because, like, even though you guys would call me fatty, hey lunchbox, you know, what have you. Making fat jokes, getting me to eat stupid shit. I never really felt that there was any malice there. And that's one of the things that I am fairly good at, is picking up on tones of voice and whether or not there's malice. Being empathetic in general, there was never really any malice associated with it. Mm-hmm. So, no, it really never did bother me. Like I said, the bitch tits thing, I know Jeremy called me that once in a while, and that was one of the things that just never sat well with me. The only other thing that I actually remember that was bothersome was the incest jokes that you would make.
Me?
Specifically.
I don't remember those.
Yeah. Because you said it one day, and you saw that it bothered you. Skin. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you played up to it.
That.
And then after a while, I got over that. I forced myself to get over it, and then you stopped.
Man, I was such a cunty teenager. That's something I've learned growing up that has taught me well and has prepared me for later in life. Is when somebody's coming at you with something, an insult, the last thing you want to do is show that it bothers you.
Yeah.
You gotta, even if it bothers you inside, which a lot of times it will.
Yeah.
The last thing you do is feed into that person. You know, it goes to online trolls and whatever now, but even in person. As soon as somebody who is purposely trying to hurt you has seen that they've succeeded in it, they've won.
Yeah. And that's why, if we get popular enough that we actually get some trolls of our own, we'll coddle them and pet them. We can only hope. We'll coddle them and pet them under their little bridge.
Well, and then we'll
give them kisses.
Then we can get fan art of trolls fighting ogres.
Oh, snap! High fives. Beautiful. So, going back to the infamous C word.
In 18th century, the word cunt was just referred to as the monosyllable. In the same way that fuck is referred to as the F word now, the word cunt was just called the monosyllable.
Okay.
More than any other word I looked up, cunt has a huge history.
Okay.
So I'm not even remotely going to touch on all of this. There's a lot of different places they think it comes from. Old Norse kunta, all of it, which was slang for female genitalia.
Okay. So, since the beginning, it's been female genitalia.
Well, I'll read this in its entirety that I copied from the online etymology dictionary.
Okay.
The form is similar to Latin cunnis, which is where also cunnilingus would come from.
Right.
Which means female pudenda, also vulgarly a woman. So even as early as when cunnis was referring to female genitalia, it was also a slang term for a woman, much in the same way that people will say, can refer to a vagina as a cunt, or call a woman a cunt.
Right.
And, I think that goes back to just how messed up history is in referring to women, really.
Yeah.
Which is likewise of disputed origin, perhaps literally meaning gash or slit.
Yeah.
Or to cut, or literally sheath, from the root Q, which means to conceal or hide. So, and I mean, this is a fifth of the notes I have on the origins of this word.
Right.
The first known reference in English refers to a street name in the 12th century called Grope Cunt Lane.
Yeah.
Which was a brothel district.
Yeah, which is where all the hookers hung out.
And I want to read... I got two more things real quick. Get this. I know we're running long and we've got some more. This is going to be a long episode even with the editing, so I hope you like hearing cuss words. The word coney, referring to rabbit, was originally pronounced cunny. So in the British language, they would make a lot of puns based on a woman's vagina as a rabbit because it sounded so similar to cun, which was kind of the root of cunt.
Yeah.
In, British slang or whatever. So there was a concerted effort to change the rabbit word coney, which was originally pronounced cunny, to coney. Because the word coney is written in the King James Version of the Bible, so they couldn't eradicate it. Otherwise, they would have just eradicated the word and started calling them something else.
Right.
But because it's in the King James Version, they changed it from cunny to coney to keep people from making that, like, dirty little secret reference.
Right.
And my final thing on the word cunt is I found this list from the 18th century dictionary. And under the definition of monosyllable, which was referring to the word cunt, the book lists 552 synonyms in English for the word cunt.
Wow.
And then goes into another 5 pages of synonyms in French, German, Italian, Spanish, and Portuguese.
Wow.
I'm going to read real fast the references it gives here.
Okay.
I'm not going to stop. I'm just going to read through.
All right.
Botany Bay, chum, coffee shop, cookie, end of the sentimental journey, fancy bit, fumbler's hall, treasure, parentheses, pen wiper, prick skinner, seminary, tickle toby, undeniable, wonderful lamp, and aphrodisiacal tennis court. That is a small smattering of the 552 synonyms for a vagina.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So, those are the cuss words that I chose to cover.
Right.
Real quick, I mentioned at the beginning of the episode George Carlin's 7 Dirty Words.
Right.
1972 or 3, I think it was 72. He did the recording, and it was titled 7 Words You Can't Say on Television, I think. Yeah. What I think is interesting about that is there wasn't a list of words you couldn't say.
Yeah.
It was just accepted that those words you didn't say.
Right.
And the list was shit, piss, fuck, cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, tits.
Right.
Did a whole bit on it. Because of that bit, the FCC then created the list of words you couldn't say and used his list as the framework for it. There was a guy who...
They also, later, I think they also added fart, turd, and twat that he worked into the bit.
Yeah, I don't think turd has ever been not able to be said.
Maybe. I don't know.
But it started from a group called Morality in Media, who there was a radio station, I think it was WAIB, that played the bit uncut in its entirety on the radio.
Yeah.
Real whiny guy who heard it on the radio started to push, complained that his 15-year-old son was in the car and heard these words, and it was disgusting.
Yeah.
So that's what started the whole thing. And this is... Final thing before we get into the last part of the show. Here's what's considered obscene by the FCC.
Okay.
I took this straight off their website.
Okay.
Listen to how vague and open to interpretation this is. And this is, I don't know enough about the FCC to specifically say I have a problem with them. I understand how if my 7-year-old daughter is watching a show, if I had cable, is watching a show at 2 p.m, cartoon ends, next show comes on, and it's welcome to the fucking shit hour or whatever. Yeah. But that would just mean that I would have to have a discussion with her, that she already has had this discussion, that there are some words that you don't say. There are some words that grown-ups get to say that you don't get to say.
Right.
I
That's
think
called parenting.
It's a very simple discussion to have. If you hear of your kid using those words in school and getting in trouble for it, even if you let your kids cuss at home, I don't think it's a problem if you let your kids cuss at home. I don't cuss in front of my daughter. If she were to cuss, which she never has, I don't know what I would do. That would have to be something that would need to happen.
Right.
But you just have to teach children. Kids aren't as stupid as we like to think they are.
Yeah.
Kids are pretty dumb. But kids are dumb in the survival way.
Right.
Kids are dumb in the way that, you drop a 7-year-old kid on the street corner and say, fend for yourself for a week. They're not able to do it.
Right.
But kids know what's right or wrong. They're developing, but we have that inborn in us, that we know what's right or wrong. Unless you're a psychopath or, mental issues.
Right. There have been studies where the black and white is much more prevalent in children than it is teens. As we develop a whiter gray area.
The fact that I didn't cuss growing up at all.
Yeah.
And felt that cussing not only was wrong, but was almost an affront to God.
Uh-huh.
I think has a correlation to how much I cuss now.
Yeah.
I don't know if it does, but I feel like it does. And I think that the more that you're just open with your kid about these words, I don't want you to say these words. They're just words, but they're not acceptable words. There's times to use things. That's something that so many parents don't seem to understand is a kid needs to realize sometimes you can do this here, but that same thing, if you do it over here in public, it is not okay.
Right.
That's a big part of raising a child, is letting them understand those social mores of you can do this here, not there.
Right.
Anyway, done with the parenting rant. Because really, what the hell do I know? I have one kid, You can only raise a kid as well as you can raise a kid. What the hell do I know? Anyway, what's considered obscene by the FCC? An average person, an average person applying contemporary community standards must find that the material, as a whole, appeals to the prurient interest. The material must depict or describe, in a patently offensive way, sexual conduct specifically defined by applicable laws, and the material, taken as a whole, must lack serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value. It is so broad to leave up to interpretation, especially that last part, must lack serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value, because who decides that?
Right.
This is an entirely different argument, and we're not going to make this thing go for 8 hours. But especially literary or artistic value is on a total case-by-case basis on what you view it as. So that can be a problem, and I think is a problem sometimes, when the person deciding, the FCC gets to decide what's on television and when.
Right.
And hits people with hefty fines when they do what they don't agree with.
Right.
Who's deciding that? There's a small group of people with the FCC who decide what's okay for millions of Americans to consume.
Right.
And this isn't some sort of conspiracy theory about the media being controlled or anything. I mean, this is just fact, in a way, that the FCC gets to decide what's okay for us to hear and at what times.
Right.
So I think it's just, if what we're talking about interests you, especially the history of curse words and where we've come and where we're going with it, looking into the FCC, some of the regulations, some of the court cases that they've lost and some of the court cases they've won are interesting. I'd recommend looking into them if anything we've said today, hopefully, is interesting to you. Right. Because it's a good barometer of where we are and where we're going to go.
Yeah.
So, that's what I have on that.
Huh. I feel edified.
I'm glad. You feel like you fucking learned something, you piece of shit?
I do.
So, here in a second, we're going to take a break, and we're going to set up the webcam.
Set up the webcam.
We're going to set up the webcam, and I suggested this idea last week stupidly, and Remington latched onto it, and we're now following through with it.
Because I'm like a rabid dog once I get my teeth in.
I thought it would be funny if at the end of this episode, we washed our mouths out with soap.
Yep.
So that's
we probably need it by now.
Really. So that's what we're going to do. Here in a second, we're going to take a break, going to set up the webcam.
You're not even going to know.
I'm afraid that I'm going to throw up.
Right.
So ahead of time, if you're already hearing this and saying, oh, I don't want to hear somebody throw up, if there's any sort of gagging sounds, this may and probably will be heavily edited. Because I listen to a disgusting amount of podcasts, and I know hearing people throw up doesn't gross me out, and I know if I heard somebody retching in my ears and my headphones, I just don't want to hear that.
Right.
So it'll probably be heavily edited. The entire unedited thing will be on YouTube. Search Dueling Ogres, it'll show up. We have a channel. We have one video on there so far.
One video!
Of us eating anchovies, and now we have us washing our mouths out with soap. I'm really hoping this isn't setting a precedence that we do gross shit just to get people to look at us.
Eventually I'd like to actually have the show up.
In its entirety?
In its entirety.
Just people sit and watch us sit here?
Yeah, but I need multiple cams. You gotta break that up with shot. Stuffs. Yeah. So you can't just sit and watch two people sit and talk. You got to break it up with jump edits, cuts and stuff. So One of these days.
Alright, so we're gonna cut. You're not gonna notice. Maybe we'll play some music, some nice soothing music after that barrage of curse words. A little bit of soothing music, and we will be right back.
Alright, so, we're back. He looks so excited.
Dude, I really don't want to do this. I don't care if you're watching this. Yes, I'm a total pussy. I don't want to do this. This is going to be... I've never had it happen. Have you ever had your mouth washed out with soap?
Yeah.
Oh, see, so you're coming from a place where it's no big fucking deal. I've never had my mouth washed out with soap. It's going to be gross. And I mean, you even gave me a little baby bar.
I did.
And it's going to be disgusting.
Here's my big ass bar. Right here.
All right.
Ivory. Ivory, folks. Ivory soap.
It smells
the
nice.
original.
It does smell nice.
It's going to burn your tongue.
It burns?
Yeah.
Why does it burn?
Because there's a lot of acid in it.
Are you being for real?
Yeah.
It's going to burn me?
It's not going to burn like chemical burn. It's like a stinging sensation. It's like capsaicin.
I mean, this stuff literally has like a poison warning on it.
No,
for
it
eating
doesn't.
Are you positive?
Yeah, I read the label.
Did you?
I read the label.
Did you really?
Yes.
All right, fine. So what are we doing?
We're going to put it in our mouth.
You're just going to put it in your mouth?
I'm just going to put it in my mouth.
I'm scrubbing my tongue.
Okay. I really wouldn't recommend scrubbing your tongue.
Why?
You're going to make it a whole lot worse on yourself.
Than just putting it in my mouth?
Yes.
But that's not washing your mouth out with soap.
The term means just holding a bar of soap in your mouth.
That's what happened to you?
Yeah. Haven't you ever seen A Christmas Story?
Yes.
Yeah, where he puts the bar of soap in his mouth and he's bawling.
I don't remember it.
Oh, okay. All right. Ready?
No.
1,
Oh, God.
2, 3.
At this point, our tenacious young ogres place the bars of soap within their mouths. Unfortunately, this act does not translate well to audio. Please go to the Dueling Ogres YouTube channel to see the experiment in its entirety. Thank you.
I mean, I know what you're thinking. You're looking at this video right now, and you're saying, what a tiny fucking
It's so
bar
much
of soap.
worse when you rinse your mouth.
Yeah. You're saying, what a tiny bar of soap. These guys are fucking assholes. I could do that. Ugh. And I challenge you. I'm building up so much saliva. I challenge you to try to do this yourself. And very easily you could do it, maybe. But it's a lot different than what you fucking think it is. It's a lot different. And
I could have gone longer.
Well, you're used to that kind of stuff. Give me the fucking bucket. I need to spit. Alright. God damn, I hate you. Oh, fuck. I really seriously feel like I'm gonna puke. I can taste it, like, in the back of my throat.
Alright, well, if you puke, mute your mic.
It's like every time I breathe, I get a new taste of it. And it's like thousands of years of evolution have taught me not to put that in my mouth. I'm fighting against everything in my being right now. I don't think it's gonna help.
No.
Alright. I think I'm good.
Alright. If you need to.
Ah, oh, God.
That's
soap
just,
came off in my fingers.
That's just what's on your tongue.
I don't know if the cigarette's gonna help or not.
Probably not.
Yeah. Ah, jeez.
Alright. Is that the end of the podcast?
Do we have any shout-outs?
Do we have
You have
any
entirely defeated me.
Oh, goodness.
Alright.
Alright. Bree was, I think Bree and maybe Keisha were the only two that commented on this past couple weeks. We had a lot of likes on some stuff.
Yeah.
So, but we don't mention you for likes. So with that being said, if you have any questions or comments, or you'd like to hear yourself mentioned on air, you can reach us on Twitter at DuelingOgres, email us at duelingogres@gmail.com, or leave us a comment on the podcast page or Facebook. Also, be sure to give us a 5-star review on iTunes and a thumbs up or a comment on Stitcher or on our YouTube video. That helps to boost us higher on the cool kids list.
Also, I want to say, in reference to this entire episode, one of my favorite phrases in the entire world, fuck 'em if they can't take a joke.
So until next week, ogres, keep your clubs blunt and your tusks sharp.
Good night.
Good night.
Fuck. There's an again.
And you said fuck.
And I said fuck. Well, you're editing that out, so it doesn't matter.